Free speech is a basic human right that everybody should have. It gets exploited, it gets suppressed. We're seeing it now with Trump's presidency and a lot of things that's happened in America. It can permeate worldwide. So everybody suffers when something happens. And what Trump's doing, he's suppressing a lot of news outlets, so the media companies, but by extension, also social media and video content distribution platforms such as YouTube. I just saw a video talking about the fact that videos are getting moderated more seriously on YouTube now, where apparently if there was, they call it disinformation, but what do they regard as accurate information and disinformation? Because it might be subjective and it might depend on the narrative that specific people want. So I find that quite alarming. So apparently they allowed a 25% deviation. Now it's 50%, but it's not. For me. That's not the point. The point is like, what do they consider is accurate? And that worries me because we're seeing it on like TikTok. I've always been suppressed on TikTok. That platform is a pain in my ass, in all honesty. But I keep my content there, and I still create some snippets, just in the hope that something gets through, really. But I never hold out hope because I don't trust TikTok at all. So with that in mind, it's really important people who want free speech and have things to be vocal about and talk about. It's really important you find avenues where you can distribute your content in whatever form that is, whether it's a written word or speaking, whether it's on camera, wherever it is. So we've got to diversify, really. We've got to make sure we're in different places. So, for instance, I don't trust TikTok. I'm not really a fan of a lot of social media platforms anymore, personally. I find it a bit exhausting. I've done 2 podcasts in the past, and the reason it was 2 is because I've gone through various stages of upgrading my setup. So before I had a cheap microphone, that was my first podcast. Then I upgraded to a better microphone that was still average, and that was my next podcast. And now I have a superior setup, so now I feel it's now the time to sort of invest in a better setup, really. So we're going to go with a new podcast. Now, I wasn't going to bother going down the podcast route because I'm quite content just creating YouTube videos, and I'm someone who likes to create, move on. I don't really like to keep draining my time creating on other things. If I've made the video, let's just put it out there and leave it out there. And it's like, oh, but now you can't guarantee that it's always going to be available or it's not going to be suppressed, and it's frustrating. So with that in mind, I've literally just created a new podcast. I've been thinking about doing it for a year anyway. It's been on my mind for a while. I just never got around to doing it, and I weren't sure I really wanted to commit to it. Bear in mind with the fact that the previous podcasts I didn't continue. Still enough episodes on them, like 40 episodes per each one, roughly. I don't know exact numbers, but for me that was substantial enough. This one will be the one I believe is going to be the long-term one. It's going to have different topics. So effectively, I would expect it realistically to have whatever I put on YouTube will probably go on the podcast. I can't see the podcast having something unique that's not on YouTube. So if you subscribe on YouTube and you're happy to watch there, the content's there. Otherwise, I will pick specific videos that I want to be on the podcast as well. And so there. Again, it allows my content to be, I feel a bit more secure in the sense that if one platform goes down or one platform suppresses, the other can continue. So yeah, the content I was thinking whether to do multiple podcasts depending on the multiple topics. For instance, my YouTube channel has multiple playlists. So do you do a podcast per playlist? I thought about it and I thought I don't want to do all that. It's bad enough having to spread myself out other avenues anyway. I just want it to be about like topics that I've got in mind, and it opens people's mind to personal growth, transformation, and that's in various avenues. Whether it's overcoming trauma, so you're actually doing personal growth, whether it's a spirituality, and you just, I explain that a little, whether it's society and politics. There's just so many avenues where the content goes, and I'm just like, I just want to be able to just express myself, and that's really where it is. So with that in mind, if we just go briefly here, if I can get it. No, there you go. So this is the new podcast on Spotify. It's just talks with Stephen Bradley Waters. It's it either gets attention or it doesn't. The reality is I just see it as a way to save my content. It's easy then. If I distribute a video to YouTube, I can distribute it straight over to the podcast, and the podcast then goes to Spotify, and at the moment Spotify and Amazon, yeah. So I think it'd be on Audible as well. I will look to potentially get it on Apple as well. There's a whole process for each platform, which is, again, that's the admin side. I do enough of this with my books. I'm really not in the mood, but you do it once and then it's automatic, so it's worth putting the time in. Like, for instance, I've literally just set Amazon Music up after Spotify. So for me, they're the priorities. I'll look to get Apple potentially, but if I'm in the mood, it is a whole process that I'm not really too fond of. But what I like about Spotify, for instance, like Amazon will do, I haven't even done it actually. I think Amazon will do the audio. I've done a few videos, bit in your face. I've got to try looking to doing intros as well, because I know you can do that. I did with my previous podcast. Yeah, and then I can sort that out. But with Amazon, with Spotify, they actually do the video. So just like YouTube. So on the right hand side, I don't know if it's going to pop up. I've done a few. Oh, I can't show it there. Let me move this over. If you go on the right hand side here, so you can listen to it as you would a podcast, or you can actually watch it in the corner here, which is pretty cool. Videos recently, which I consider quite powerful. I've actually really enjoyed watching them back. I personally think they should have more traction than they have, but you can't do anything about that. Little did I know, after that, we're going to be back on to Trump again. Like, who wants to keep talking about this guy? So, yeah, in all honesty, my content actually, and I've always known that, my content is better as a podcast. Like, it literally is. It's like all YouTube video. I'm not built for short form snippets like YouTube, like TikTok and things. I've always had problems on them platforms because it's not where I'm supposed to be. I think when my videos end up on, as this, it builds, the way my YouTube channel is built, it's the same thing. As this builds and there's more episodes, I just think it'll be a natural way for people to listen. So what I'm going to do is distribute every Wednesday. There's enough videos on my YouTube channel for the rest of the year, really. So even if I didn't create anything new, I could just pump out, I could just place a different video in as a new episode. But of course, I'm always creating. So there will be episodes. There may be bonus episodes in a given week if I feel I've got too much content that I'm sitting on and it's maybe not going to be relatable in a year if it's to do with societal issues right now. So yeah, that may happen. But overall, I think I'm just going to target every Wednesday a new episode. And it'd be an easy way then, I think, for people to manage the content, because like on YouTube, maybe I create too often and it's hard to keep up with like what's the latest video. At least if you save it on, if you follow on Spotify, Amazon, or whatever, you'll have access to the latest episodes each week or something. And I think maybe that'd be better for people. But like I say, it's going to be different episodes. It's not always going to be society. There'll be personal growth. There'll be spirituality. And it might be just talking about leveling up as well in terms of like maybe with our skill set, So there'll be all sorts of topics. It's not just going to be the one. I've put it over here. Look, the author of A Father's Daughter and Losing Mind to Find Your Soul challenges the status quo by discussing topics such as personal growth and transformation, spirituality, and society and politics. I don't really like doing these about pages, but you got to write something. And I thought, to be honest, at least it shows what it's going to be about. Yeah. For me personally, this is something, like I said, I was thinking of doing for a while, but I never got around to doing it because it's just yet another avenue for me to have to work at, and it's like I'm someone, like I said, I just like to create. I don't like the admin side and all this promotional stuff, But if it saves the content, I think it's worth it. So, like, for instance, if anything ever happened to your YouTube channel or your videos, whatever, it's not, when you put all your eggs in one basket, you're leaving yourself susceptible to situations, Like I said, I think free speech is really important. So that way, if something happens to that platform for whatever reason, you haven't lost everything. So many people, they put everything on one platform and then they lose the platform and then they lose everything they've built. It's like, that's naive. Me personally, if I didn't, like, for instance, if all these platforms got suppressed, because there's the potential they can, it doesn't matter you put yourself in, it doesn't mean that they won't be compromised by state leaders and whatnot. But even if all that happened, I would still be very vocal through my books. I will always create. I'll always find an avenue to speak up on topics. So for me personally, if I had no access, if this was not options, I would still create audio, video, and written content even through my website. I can put audio on my website. I can create my own video content and distribute it on my website, store it there. I can do blogs. I can do my books. So as a final thing, I would always have ownership of whatever I do anyway, because I would just distribute there if I felt that everywhere else is compromised. Because I won't allow that to happen. Free speech to be diminished. It's just not. Yeah, it's not something I'm interested in at all. Is losing access. So this is my YouTube channel. Like I say, I've got a lot of different playlists, and it'll be me specifically picking various videos off of this playlist and distributing it to the podcast on a weekly basis, because you can set a schedule up. Like I could literally sit here now and I could probably pick for the next 4 weeks different videos I want and schedule it for a very specific time on a Wednesday, and then it releases. And I think that's the beauty of it all anyway. And if you can do that on all the platforms as well. If you do TikTok, for instance, for your desktop computer, you can schedule it. If you do it for YouTube, you can schedule it. So it's always been an option. It's just another way, really, to organize your content so you don't overwhelm. Whereas maybe I post a lot on YouTube. So, like, for instance, this is what I'm saying on my website. I can do got this whole green thing. It's because I've got a fan going as well, so it's causing trouble. I don't really understand why it's having such an issue. I do feel like the lighting's slightly off. I don't know if I've got this weird glow. I do feel like, I don't know why my lighting's playing up. Yeah, I'm really not sure why it's doing that. We're not going to go deviating, but this, yes, just stupid. Try and move that over a bit. Maybe it make different. Hasn't done anything, has it? Yeah, don't worry about that. So anyway, there's 4 of my books, but I've got a new book coming out soon. God, I look orange. This isn't. I don't know why the lighting's going mental. Anyway, so yeah, I've got my new book coming out. I'm expecting by the end of July. It could be delayed slightly after that. It really depends. Time consumes and my focus on it. I've done a lot of work with very little reward up to now, so it's motivation's a bit of an issue personally, if I'm being honest. I want to re-edit my book, A Heartbroken Door. It was my second book of the 6 I've already done, and that each book's each year. So I've gone back and re-edited some of the others, and I've obviously released new ones. And I just feel that one deserves a bit of TLC. It deserves to be up to the same standard as the others. But like I've said in this little bit of my website here, I'm working on other projects. Let's get them done first, then I can revisit that. This is me promoting my YouTube channel. There's my blog articles. I haven't really focused on it in a long time, but the potential's there if I feel I need to. Audio books for my books, they're there. And my books, for instance, there's 7 there now because I've also included the upcoming book. So that's going to be pretty cool when that releases. And yeah, and then we go down to the podcasts. Now, these are my old podcasts. So we got Thinking Out Loud, which was the most recent one. Then you've got A Peek Into Our Soul. But now we've got Talks with Stephen Bradley Waters is my new one. And that'll be the one I think is going to be there for a long time now. So these were, I guess, samples, I guess. So let's have a listen to this one. This one's the last one, I think, of my Thinking Out Loud. I haven't listened to it for a long time. But I'm just wondering about the audio quality because I think it was a different microphone. I might be wrong. It still might be a good microphone. I'm going to talk about the art of storytelling and specifically writing. One of the best tools you can use to start writing a story. Yeah, I think that was a good microphone, to be totally honest. But I just think it ran its course, that playlist. This one is going to be an older playlist. Cancel that. So it's going to open on Spotify. This was back in 2023. Welcome to A Peek Into Our Soul podcast series with Stephen Bradley Waters. Very serious. Author of... but like I say, there's always going to be... So like... I don't like it at all. It's cringy to me, but I think it's really important. You leave a trail. This is where we got. This is where we was. This is where we are now, and things will improve even in the future. The audio quality on that one just wasn't good enough, and that's why I say I stopped doing it. But yeah, I just think it's really important that we express ourselves and do it in various avenues. So like I say on this banner, find me on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, YouTube, Google, Audible, and more. It's important we don't just pigeon ourselves in one space. So I don't even pigeon myself with one aspect of content. I don't just bury myself in a book and say I've done books. I continue to speak I'll do the videos, I'll do the audio, for instance, and I'll find avenues to continue to express myself. And I think it's really important that we reach the audiences, really, of people who could do with the content. So hopefully this will pick up. I'm not really that bothered about analytics. I just get on with creating. But yeah, if anyone's interested, there's my new playlist. So like I say, just to be clarify here, we've got America in chaos, Trump initiating the Insurrection Act, LA protests. I haven't done that one specifically to make a point. I've done that one specifically because it's relevant right now. If I release that in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, how relevant is it? I don't know. So let's do it now while it's relevant. And then I will go back through my YouTube channel and I'll start picking some of the videos, because I'll probably make it quite diverse to start the podcast, so people can see straight away. This isn't just going to be like talking about politics and things. That's not what it's about at all. It's other things. I may just go through my editor's choice because I think that makes a point. So we've got imbalance, injustice in divorce and family court. I think that's going to be a really powerful one. That's going to create a headache for people. Yeah, and it's like I say, there's all these different topics, and I'm really excited about doing that. So, but in some ways, it is an annoyance if I'm being totally honest, because I've already created the content. It's already available on YouTube. It's kind of like, why have I got to distribute everywhere else? But like I said, if there's potential for content to get suppressed, then it's really important that we expand and allow our content to be seen in other forms. So it's not going to be that complicated. It's just a pain there, and there might be editing. Like for instance, there was a pause in the video I just uploaded for the first episode because I wanted to keep the pause in the YouTube video to show that the issues I was having with my system that seemed very targeted. But on a podcast, people don't want silence. So I had to go back and edit that. And then I had to wait the whole video to encode. So it took a half an hour. And that was a half an hour time I didn't really want to lose to it. So that's the frustration. But for most of the videos, I'll be able to just, as soon as I'm uploading to YouTube, so as soon as I create my video, I put it on YouTube in the top corner. I could then just open up my web browser, put it on Spotify through there for the portal, go through the little process, but I'd already done all of that for the YouTube video. So it'd be copy paste, really. Copy the description, copy the title, blah, 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 upload the video, and then straight from there, it'll distribute itself to Amazon. And if I've set up Apple, it'll do that. So there is like an automatic feature once you publish. So that's really where I'm up to. Hopefully that makes sense to people, and it might be something that's interesting to other people if they're looking to distribute content and they really think, and they really, feel free speech is everything, because I do. So like personally, even if I didn't create any more videos now and I just stopped creating content, I have enough on YouTube to distribute to a podcast and create like over 100 episodes. I could probably, if you go on my YouTube channel, where are we up to? Wait a minute. Yeah. It says 563 videos. Now, some of them are going to be older and are not relevant. So let's argue there's 300 videos. But that's still a year. It's still pretty much a year's worth of content I already have on my platform. If I did one episode, wow, wait a minute, it's even more than that. I'm thinking like if I did an episode a day. If I did an episode a day, I've got a year's worth of content of a podcast. And I'm not even doing it every day. I'm doing once a week, which is 52 weeks to a year. So I've easily got a year's worth. I've got 4, 5. We've got even longer than that. I've got like 7 years worth of content, I think. If we did one a week, I think realistically, it doesn't mean it'll be relevant. But the point is that if I don't create any more content, there's enough there to really fill a spot of podcast anyway. So the podcast is already in the making, isn't it? So anyway, hopefully that's an easy way for people to see my content, to hear my content. If you don't want to go on YouTube and you feel it's too much overwhelming, you just want to give it, be drip fed the content in a more specific way, then I think subscribing to the podcast either through, like I said, Spotify, Amazon could be a way forward. Or if you just want to really consume content, read the books. The books are going to be far more articulated, and I think they're really powerful. So I would suggest reading the books. But I think there's something for everyone.